So one of the things that we do at Casago that I think is different than a lot of other property management companies is we have a no surprise guarantee on our statements. So what does that mean? It means that if we can't show that we let you know in advance that a work order was coming through and you don't give photos of it before and after and it goes on your statement, then the work is free. And I think that really has helped a lot with our ability to build a good reputation with our homeowners. Sometimes, even me as a homeowner, I hate to see this work order come through because I know it's going to cost me money, but at least I'm getting transparency. And the reason why we started doing that was in the early days, before there was apps and things like that. I was working here in Mexico, and we would put in work orders on statements, and there'd be something like a light switch that happens to come to mind. We had a complex called Princessa where they were rocker panel switches, and they were spring loaded and they're popping. They're failing all over the place. So you'd walk into a condominium and there'd be one or two light switches just popped out. So my staff was having a hard time, because the primary language is in Spanish, articulating all of the, pieces around or, which rocker switch it was. And we actually had a little bit of a friction point with homeowners because they thought that we were charging them over and over for the same rocker switch. So what we did was we got digital cameras, and I started making the staff send digital camera photos to our homeowners for every single one of those rocker panel switches, and then every single one of our work orders. And the very first month, our requests for clarification dropped by 87%. And we're like, wait a minute, this is the way to do this. So yeah, that was early days. And then, as being part of the Streamline team, I went to Carlos, who was my partner and CEO of Streamline, and said we should build an app. And his nephew, who was working in Tucson, we'd drive up there on the weekends and have him work on this app. And that was the first app in the industry for field work, because we would have a line of team members, both housekeeping managers and maintenance guys, standing in a line waiting to upload photos at a single computer or two, and could see that there was going to be a choke point on that. So yeah, for you as homeowners, I just want you to know that this is how we're thinking about fixing these problems. We want to make sure that you're always brought up to speed, that we can take care of you and your needs, and make sure that that we know that there's a lot of trust put into us. We want you to see everything that goes on. Now, you don't have to read everything if you don't want to. We want to give it to you, so it's always there. It's also in your portal. And then lastly, I think it's probably worth mentioning that if there is an emergency, often we don't get a time to get a photo beforehand, but we do take a photo while it's happening. So, you will be notified, but if there's an emergency, there's a guest in the house and there's a water leak, or, a window is blown out and we got to get to it, you can see the notifications, but we're not going to, wait to have communication with you. We're just going to get it right out to you. So, yeah, there are a couple exceptions for, emergency work orders, but you still get the photos. Hey, really appreciate you watching this video. I know there's a lot in transition, and I want you to be comfortable with the philosophies and maybe even a little bit of context and backstories of how we get things done and why. Often I find that people will ask, why are you doing that? Or that doesn't make sense. But often context really helps us build partnerships with our homeowners